Our client was a Filipino investment banker who had just relocated to Hong Kong with his wife. He had been living with his father back in Manila, and his father had no other family members. There really was just his son and his daughter-in-law, who had now been relocated to Hong Kong. And the question was begged as to how this gentleman, the father, was able to, or would be able to, take up residence in Hong Kong to carry on the life that they lived together in the Philippines, now that the son and his daughter-in-law had been transferred to Hong Kong in pursuit of his investment banking work. The discussion was had about whether or not in these circumstances he would be able to secure a prolonged visitor visa, which I counselled him as being not particularly hopeful. He certainly couldn't get a dependent visa because our client was not a permanent resident of Hong Kong. Prolonged visitor visa might have been an option, and the client had had a discussion with me about that in light of what he'd read on our website about the possibilities of this. But we settled on the fact that because his father had a business that had been running for some 25 years or so, trading items around Asia, and the fact that they had a good business relationship with a Hong Kong supplier that had been in place for about 10 years, and they were doing 3 or 4 transactions a year, I advised the client that in actual fact what might be a suitable solution in these circumstances, given that Filipino nationals only get a 14-day period of stay each time that they arrive, that we could actually apply for a travel pass on the strength of the fact that he did have this business in the Philippines, which was capable of supporting the idea that he could make frequent visits to Hong Kong on a 2-month stay per visit basis under the guise of a travel pass, on the basis that he was going to be able to progress the business with this one particular business relationship that they had in Hong Kong and had, as I said, for some sort of 10 years in standing. So the client went off and had a discussion with their business relationship. They agreed that they would support the application for travel pass through the provision of supporting representations and letter of invitation and these kinds of communications which form part of the travel pass application submission bundle. And the process played itself out through the normal travel pass application procedures. Our client needed to make 3 discrete entries and exits via the airport before he was officially able to progress the application for the travel pass. And once those visits had been completed, the travel pass application went in. We submitted a lot of information about the nature of the business in the Philippines, the nature of the business relationship with the Hong Kong party, and in fact during one of his visits in the period before his travel pass was approved, they'd gotten down to some sort of business, and they'd placed a large order with the Hong Kong business that was helping out in this process. And to make a long story very short, the client was able to get his travel pass, which effectively meant that he got a 3-year booklet, a booklet that was valid for 3 years, that allows him to come across the border into Hong Kong with a 2-month period of stay on each visit. And in effect, this was allowing this family to spend the kind of life together they had had in the Philippines previously, now albeit being experienced in Hong Kong. And again, the use of the creative use of the travel pass in this situation really served our clients' interest well and allowed them to achieve what it is that they wanted to achieve, that is to keep the family together, where in normal circumstances the father would have been travelling into Hong Kong as a visitor, getting only a 2-week period of stay on each visit, and every time he presented himself at the border, he ran the risk of possibly being refused entry because of the nature of his frequent visits into Hong Kong. So there was a really good win-win situation for everybody, because the postscript was that a few weeks ago I spoke to the client to see how things had panned out. And in actual fact, even though the father was spending a great deal of time with his son and his daughter-in-law living together, he'd actually been heavily or aggressively engaged in business. And the amount of trade that they had done with the Hong Kong company had tripled in actual fact as a result of his ability to be in Hong Kong. So the travel pass has really worked out for everybody concerned, both for the family, for the business, and most importantly for Hong Kong, and the way that the immigration process had really delivered a result in these circumstances.